Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Loud out, everybody! Heads are about to explode. Bum, 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 bum. Everyone, look out! Don't run up these stairs. Bum, 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 bum. We're going to twist your ankle on Civil Gore.
That's our new opening show.
That's the intro. There it is. Hey guys, so we are here with our good friend Chase Harrison and my good brother Kevin Wilson, the actual funny Wilson brother, and we are here to discuss not only horror movies, which you're definitely going to discuss, but also Chase's new audio horror drama Wendigo, which is coming out very, very soon, that I want everyone to check out. And Kevin's actually starring in this drama as well. That's right. We're gonna hear all about that, publicize that, and talk some good horror talk tonight.
I'm excited.
Yes.
So yeah, welcome to the show, Chase.
No, thank you guys very much for letting me come up here. Ever since I've been a longtime friend with Kevin here, and he's mentioned that his brother's a longtime fan of horror films, such as myself, and had a podcast for horror, and I've wanted to come on for a while, and figured what better opportunity than to promote something horror related.
Yeah, I cannot wait to dive in because I want to hear all about this show.
Oh, but man, please.
Before we do that, though, we got to talk some horror origins, because we always ask our guests what their origin story is, how they got into horror, what are some of their favorite horror movies. So can you kind of elaborate on that?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm absolutely ready because I'm a long-standing fan of horror. Like, there's no better genre. I enjoy all types of film, don't get me wrong, but I'd much rather watch the cheesiest of B-80s slasher film than the most acclaimed Academy Award winning film you got. And it's just pure escapism and fun. And that's my entire family. Like, my dad is this way with horror. My aunts and uncles on my dad's side are that way with horror. My cousins are that way. We're all a big film family, but horror is what we go to. I have memories of sitting on my cousin's lap at like 2 years old, and I can distinctly remember the opening of Friday the 13th Part 5 playing. You know, where it's like Corey Feldman running through the woods, and it's like the one where he has to be out of there. It's the fake Jason. I remember that distinct opening from that young of an age. I remember watching Salem's Lot, the miniseries by Toby Hooper.
Now you're talking my language with that one.
Yeah, dude. I remember watching that as a kid with my grandmother and my dad and my aunts and my mom. And just how creeped out I was with the little kid at the window.
Oh my God,
that's it. On there.
That's my most number one freak out scene. Actually, I stand to that to this day. It still creeps me out.
Dude, I marathon horror movies every October. I try to do like 100, and that's my goal. And sometimes I get close, sometimes I don't get close at all. But I always just set the goal at 100. And this year I revisited Salem's Lot, and it holds up so well, man. I love it.
We did that one when did we do that one, Brian? Because we did it for us.
I want to say last year. I think we did it.
Yeah, and I was, because it'd been a while since I'd watched it too, and I was impressed with how well it holds up.
Toby Hooper's a hell of a filmmaker that gets looked down upon, and then it's a miniseries, so it has that time to breathe. Yeah, but it's Stephen King, and it really latches on to. It spends so much time on letting you know who everyone in the small town is, which is quintessential King.
Yep. Yeah, that one still to this day freaks me out, and in such a way that I don't think that, like, if they like, there's certain movies that that you just know at some point are going to be remade.
Yeah,
that one I don't think should. I mean, I know there was, I guess, another miniseries they had. Like
TNT did it as a 2-parter with Rob Lowe.
Yeah,
Roger Howard was the vampire. It's forgettable.
Yeah, but I get now with it coming out, in a really elaborate theatrical way. Like, this is one I'm always afraid of that they're going to remake, and it's just not going to be the same no matter what. Like, how are you going to get creepier than that? That kid floating at the window.
And there's just there's you just lose something from that vibe that I feel like, I had to deal with it in Wendigo. I had to deal with it on my plays there's a modern technology vibe of how do you answer for a cell phone? How do you answer for Wi-Fi? How do you answer for all these different ways where you can look something up? And it almost becomes that hindrance of either having to explain it away of why you can't, or having that moment where you have characters just, and I know we've all seen that cliche of the teenagers huddled around a glowing laptop screen going, oh, it's really this ancient demon from whatever mythology the writer found this week. And so that's something you lose. But Salem's Lot set in is from the 70s. You don't have that. I mean, and look, there's a nostalgic push and hard to go back to the 80s with Stranger Things, with It, like you mentioned.
Oh yeah.
And that's like a way to remove that hang up or trope, if you will, from the genre.
Yeah, you need to see. I don't know if you've seen this movie yet, but we've actually become good friends with him. This guy that did this documentary called In Search of Darkness. He did parts 1 and 2.
I'm watching it right now. In fact, I have it muted just for background to have some images pop up. I loved it. I've watched it like 4 times just for.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, and supposedly they're working on a third one, actually, a part 3, which is going to be focusing on the straight-to-video releases, I think, is what.
And part 2 will be on Shudder this month too.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to it. That's my bid like watch this month. That and I think Godzilla versus King Kong are my 2.
Oh yeah.
I've been rewatching a lot of Godzilla and a lot of slasher films.
Yeah, that's
that
one.
That one will be pretty good. So what do you think? Like, I think if you had to pick, like I don't want to ask your favorite horror film, because you can't do that to a horror film fan, because
go right ahead.
Well, all right. Well, I mean, we could ask you, what is your favorite?
You want like decade breakdowns or genre breakdowns?
That's what I mean. Like,
I'm OCD. I have a very analytical mind where I like to sit down and like break things down and go, here's my top 10 for a director. Here's a top 10 for a genre. Here's a top 10 for a subgenre.
Let's go decade. Let's go start with the 70s.
Start in the 70s.
Work our way up.
Oh, that's easy. Well, the 70s, in my opinion, houses the greatest horror movie that's ever been made. It's not number 1 on my list. It's that ultimatum going, hey, if I'm going to tell anyone to watch, if it's October and they ask me going, what's the scariest movie ever made? That's what I want to watch. I go, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That movie is unsettling on every degree. I always take Stephen King's statement for the Blair Witch Project and just kind of retroactively throw it to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Because again, it's Tobe Hooper with Salem's Lot. The guy knows how to just capture that Americana feel and then just torture the viewer in it. But to go back to what Stephen King said for Blair Witch Project, put that to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The damn thing looks real and the damn thing feels real. Like I've never once watched that movie since I caught that film in high school when I was like maybe 15, 16. And it's never once not hit me with that same vitriol of did someone just set up cameras? Is this what a snuff film looks like? Is this what a professional snuff film looks like? Because Marilyn Burns is terrified. She's one of the great, most underrated actresses in horror, in my opinion. Like her performance in Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so genuine. You just feel like they did torture that poor girl. And if you read reports, they did.
Yeah.
So Texas Chainsaw Massacre it's the quintessential horror movie that I'll tell anyone to watch. But from the 70s, that's my go-to.
Well, we know if we ask Kevin, he'll tell us Maximum Overdrive, of course, right?
Did he mute himself?
He muted, yeah.
Yeah, you know it. We're actually going to go see the On-Set Cinemas Maximum Overdrive showing down where the Dixie Boy truck stop was, down Highway 74, which is about 20 minutes from our town. And we're going to go watch a showing and meet some of the actors from the film.
I cannot wait for that. I am so excited for
Which
that.
one's that?
It's coming up in June. Yeah, I'll send you the information.
Which one of you is going to yell out screaming like, we made you, we made you?
We should turn it into a whole like new Rocky Horror thing. Show up dressed up like the characters. I'll show up dressed like Pat Hingle with a rocket launcher. It'd be great.
Pat Hingle cosplay doesn't get enough, I don't think,
No, and you could do a whole group. You could do like Commissioner Gordon. And
What else? Oh, he was in
Tuesdays at Maury, I think.
Was he in Brewster's Millions? Didn't he play one of the lawyers? That's like obscure Pat Hingle cosplay, I think, right?
Yeah, that's like really reaching for the Pat Hingle cosplay.
Yeah.
I respect it. I love it.
We'll be called the Hingleberries. We'll just have a whole group and just.
Yes, I'm here for it.
I like it.
Now I'm like looking up at IMDb because I want to like see like what we've missed here of him, because we definitely do not want to miss like a Pat Hingle opportunity, you know.
Oh no,
No.
This is pretty much planning Halloween 2021 already, and I appreciate that.
Oh wait, he was in Talladega Nights too. I forgot about that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, look at that.
Well,
See?
as an aside, while we're looking that up,
Yeah,
I wanted to ask Kevin specifically, because there's been talk, very loose talk. I think Joe Hill mentioned it one time about a remake of Maximum Overdrive. So, Kev, what would be your idea about a I mean, I know you probably don't want to remake the movie, but if you had to see a Maximum Overdrive remake, what do you think it would look like?
Tim, if you had to repaint the Mona Lisa, what would it look like?
Point taken.
Leave it to Kev to come up with the best answer to that question in history.
No, of course, I would be excited about a remake just because I love the IP so much. But part of what makes Maximum Overdrive so special is because it was filmed in our town. You were such a huge Stephen King fan growing up, and the excitement that you had for it, the excitement that the town had for it, it was a huge deal for our little town. And it represented this era of the boom of Wilmington film, which is coming back right now, you know, and kind of comes in, has its hills and valleys as far as its successes go. But you hear the stories about how Stephen King was coked up during the filming and all of these type of problems. But I think all of that comes through in the film. And it does give you kind of that hot July day kind of old Southern North Carolina feel. Yeah, to me, it's just so nostalgic, and it takes me back to a time that I actually lived during. So if you redid it, I don't know if you redo it in the modern day, once again, like Chase was saying, do you now have to deal with technology? Is your cell phone going to vibrate you to death? Like, you know, at what point do you get to with technology? How much is the comet affecting?
Honey, sweetheart, I just got a text message that said to go to hell.
Called me an
my ass.
Yeah. Well, think about it though. I mean, you have like, okay, back then, you know, seeing a car drive itself, not a big deal. Now you look over it in Google, you know, you see cars driving around by themselves all the time. So it's like right there, that fear is gone. You know, like the auto driving car is there. Now, granted, we don't see soda machines throwing stuff at us, but you know, it's like the other thing. So it's like the technology. Yeah. For a movie like that, well, like the technology now, you know, so many things are becoming sentient, but like, how do you do that now? Like, and scare someone when so many things are technology? They have to come up with some kind of other.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, what's the spin? What's the take? Where's?
I mean, I feel like they would definitely. I see them doing away with the whole comet idea. I see that this being something like a computer virus or some kind of AI goes rogue, and that's what causes everything to go haywire. I think they would take a more realistic take on it, but I don't know. I think you'd have to go like ultra gory, like ultra violent or something to go above the level of, oh, my toaster just turned on by itself, because they have stuff that does that.
I know that's like there's like a whole smart home now that like literally you could like wake up and your breakfast is like serving itself to you. So it's like,
what was it? That was a Disney Channel movie. It was like Smart House or Smart Home, where the AI just went, I'm gonna take care of this family. You're not allowed to go outside because it's dangerous. And like, oh crap.
I feel like Maximum Overdrive had the benefit of staying in one town as its setting, and then the majority of the movie takes place at this one gas station. So they don't have to really define the rules of what's happening in the whole world globally. You get some radio dispatches that are coming in, but they don't really ever define the rules. We know that an arcade machine can kill you, a drink machine, a steamroller, a lawnmower. It's like, it just has to have some sort of mechanical component. it can be electric, but it can also be gas. I don't think they really ever had to define the rules of like.
Well, they did remake it. They remade it in the early 2000s as Trucks on the USA Network.
Oh yeah, I remember
and I forget
that,
who's in it, but there's this one stupid scene, like just really dumb, where this HVAC suit or this kind of like biosuit gets filled with air from a compressor, and it picks up an axe and attacks somebody. No explanation, but because the machine filled this suit up, the air in this suit is now evil enough to... It was a bad movie, so it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, I like to think my personal theory is that we don't really need a remake to Maximum Overdrive. We just need, because we already have sequels in Pixar's Cars.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that is
there you
true.
go.
Like Pixar's Cars just like look at the nice world that the cars made for themselves once all the humans were off of it.
Yeah, you know what would be interesting actually for Maximum Overdrive? Go a different route. Do a well, they could do two things. I think that would make it
Airplanes.
work. Either a prequel, it would somehow work a prequel, or do it just kind of like the same time frame, just in a different town. Like Kevin said, like you got, they didn't have to establish the rules in that movie,
Yeah.
but who makes, why can't there be like another like story?
It's like
from the
it's the
tales of
Romero.
Maximum Overdrive, It's like-
No, it's the George Romero treatment. Like none of the Night, Dawn, Day, and Land aren't direct sequels, but they're telling the same story at different times and different locations, just showing how different people deal with this situation. And you can do that with Maximum Overdrive, and you can hop people down anywhere.
Yeah.
How are cars handling it when you need to have chains put on the wheels in bad weather conditions? Are like humans able to survive in Alaska because they can't make it over the frozen roads? There's a lot of weird, fun angles to take with a Maximum Overdrive remake.
So you're thinking like Maximum Overdrive meets Ice Road Truckers kind of thing, right?
I mean, hey, that's a good way. Like there's your elevator pitch right there.
Yeah.
Hey man, so what's the movie? It's Maximum Overdrive meets Ice Road Truckers.
Oh, and it could be
Okay.
actually
Come
a
on.
reality show trying to be filmed while this happens.
There you
That
go.
could be your Quint character. I've been driving these roads for 40 some years. I've seen me 18-wheelers to 4-wheels, and I can drive them all. And it's just this old, like, grizzled ice road trucker who somehow, like, has a harpoon. It's like, what's a harpoon going to do against a truck, man? And it's just like an Ahab metaphor because you think you're smarter than you are when you write. Believe me, I do.
I want to see this now.
I know.
Oh,
Now it needs to be made.
I just want to mention, man, with remakes though, because that was a trend that really hit the ground running for horror for a while, and I feel like it went torture porn, found footage, but the remake craze was always mixed in there, and some fell and some were really good. We got some really good horror remakes in the last couple of decades, I feel. But whatever you do with it, I just say make it your own. Utterly tell the exact same story differently. It's why Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead is one of the premier modern horror remakes to me, because it's the same story, it's just told completely different.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like what I just watched it actually recently. I was going to talk about it on when we do our regular episode, but I can mention it here too. Is the Wrong Turn? I just watched the remake of that.
Really nice. How was that?
That does the exact same thing what you said. It's like the same old type of story, but they really make it stand out differently. And I don't want to say because I know Tim hasn't seen it yet, but it's definitely. I mean, I had issues with it, but still overall it was an enjoyable film, and I like the choices that they made in terms of like saying like this is my movie. You may expect this, but here's the movie. Anyway, kind of thing.
The original writer came back from the first movie, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Right, Tim? Did he?
I'm not sure.
The original writer, or
I think it was the original
There was
writer.
somebody
who came back from the
associated with
first
it,
one.
Yeah. So, and and it's just like you could tell though that they wanted to make it, kind of totally rebrand it, which is I'm interested to see as more people see it, like where the camps lie on this one, because I think this is going to be a kind of a divisive remake. So
Sweet. I'm excited for it. It's on my list. I mean, I've seen all the Wrong Turn movies. I saw the first one in theaters when it was released. So I'm interested to see what their take and what because I've heard that it doesn't follow the normal hillbilly inbred cannibal route that we've been accustomed for like 8 movies. Somehow that franchise has spawned.
Definitely goes a different way with that. Yeah. So, but it's good cast. So it's
Matthew Modine, right?
Yeah, he's in it, and Charlotte Vega, which was in, she was really good in The Lodgers. It was a movie that Tim and I actually did for the show, which was really good.
That was good, yeah. Oh, so we got to get back to your decades. We
got
sidetracked into the 70s. We veered into Maximum.
I'm kind of a tangent.
And that's an 80s movie. No,
circle back around. You know how it goes.
So, other than Maximum Overdrive, what is your favorite 80s movie?
Well, that's actually my #1 horror movie of all time too. John Carpenter's The Thing. I'm a massive John Carpenter fan, so it's kind of hard not to make my entire list his movies. But The Thing's just perfect. It's a perfect film. I can't tell you the amount of times I've watched it. It's my go-to. Just I'm bored, throw on movie. I think I loved it. I've watched it so many times that I now love to show it to people who haven't seen it, just so I can go, cool. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. His chest rips open. Look for the reaction. I got what I wanted. You had no idea that was coming. And so now it's just my go-to, like, hey, do you want to watch a movie? Let's watch The Thing. And then it's John Carpenter. The man is the quintessential master of horror when it comes to the genre, in my opinion. It's Kurt Russell being the king of cool, which he always is. It's Keith David being like the Sir Lancelot to Kurt Russell's King Arthur of cool. It's an amazing cast set in this isolated location that is just wants to kill you as much as the alien wants to kill you. It's Rob Bottin's work in that has not been matched since. No film has come close to The Thing. I feel like what it grasped on a psychological level of how you can't trust, and especially because you build this story of these men who've been stationed in this remote location for so long that these are just their friends, and now destroy every one of those bonds in a moment, and just shows how quickly it all comes raveling down in ways that I think other films, a la like The Mist, has tried to capture and has come close. But to me, The Mist kind of falls short of kind of reaching what The Thing was able to really grasp hold of. And then it has that just amazing ending of just Kurt Russell and Keith David with the camp burning all around them. And I think this movie that's about, and we're all horror fans. We've discussed the ending of The Thing ad nauseum. I mean, everyone has a theory on who's human. Are they both human? Or is one the thing? Are they both the thing? Is the thing dead? What is it? And I've always just taken to my own personal belief that they're both human. And you get this beautiful moment about how the film's about mistrust, and you don't really know who your friends are, and you don't know what to believe. And in this last moment, when it doesn't matter and it's just two people, they just decide to have the faith in humanity of going, you know what, if I'm about to die, I'd rather die knowing you're a human. And there's something beautiful in that to me. That's my take on The Thing's ending. Of like, they're both human, because it's the whole story is about trust, and that trust comes from a blind faith, an ability just to go, hey, it's me and you. And that kind of gets away from why I love the movie, but I love John Carpenter's The Thing. If you have not seen it, go it's a perfect hour and 30.
Yeah.
That movie hits an hour and 30 and it goes to credits. It's a perfect story. Like, John Carpenter mastered like storytelling. Like, everything I try to even do in writing is cool. If you can't tell it in an hour and 30, I don't think you were meant to tell it. John Carpenter was able to tell these perfect films in like an hour and a half.
Yeah, no, trust me, we love John Carpenter too. You should have seen Tim and I our reaction when he liked one of our tweets when we during the Halloween watch party. I don't even know what we wrote.
I don't even remember what we wrote. All I remember was Brian texting me going, "We got the John Carpenter like."
It was like our highlight to the podcast.
Yeah, man. When my third play got produced, Insanity, which was my ode to Luca Fulci, because I'm a huge fan of him in Italian horror cinema. My buddy John Bear Parson and Kevin's good buddy John Bear, shout out to him, got me a signed autograph photo from John Carpenter's estate. Like, he had wrote John Carpenter's estate.
Oh, nice.
Went, hey man, my buddy is inspired by your works. and all this stuff. And he writes horror plays, and he's talked about you since we were like 14. And it's so there's a signed headshot of John Carpenter that's to Chase, John Carpenter, da 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 da.
Oh wow,
that's super little awesome things that's hanging on my wall in my room, and it's one of my little like, oh hey, look at that, John Carpenter like my thing. But I don't know, man. And then we're still to stay on the 80s. If there's one movie that's neck and neck always with the thing, though, it's Stuart Gordon's Reanimator.
Oh yeah.
Like Reanimator is one of those films I caught. I had the flu one Halloween, like when I was 14 or 15. I believe I was 14, and so I couldn't go trick or treating, which for horror nuts that's our time, man. That's when our power's at its strongest. And I had to stay in, and it sucked. But my dad went out and rented Reanimator and From Beyond, which
Oh wow, that's a great double feature.
Yeah,
perfect double feature, man. That started my love affair with Stuart Gordon. Jeffrey Combs is one of my favorite genre actors. That guy is the king. And then my first love was Barbara Crampton.
Wow.
So
Yeah, we were
That's
desperately
our
trying to get
dream
Barbara
interview.
Crampton. Yeah, we were trying to get her so bad on the show.
can I just sit in? I'll be quiet. I'll be too starstruck to say anything. I'll just be sitting there like, that's Barbara Crampton.
Well, Tim impersonates her all the time with his picture, so that's like that. I don't know if that endears her to us or.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, she's liked a couple of our things, I think.
Yeah, no, she does. She liked like when Tim posed her skeleton like her too, which was
Yeah, and I was doing that. Or
yeah,
whatever
you know
her
that she
face
does
is.
that. The
Yeah.
Barbara Crampton. We actually started that hashtag going.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
right. Yeah.
The
I know,
Barbara
and
Crampton, Barbara
She's
Crampton
been
face.
amazing, man. She's just stayed on as like a genre heavyweight screen
yeah.
queen throughout. I mean, what was it? It was a couple years old. We're Still Here is an amazing throwback film. Again, to Fulci horror films.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, she does like so much
there.
stuff behind though. Like she'll do she's producing. She still
Yeah.
does stuff for Fangoria. I mean, she's always like such a force, no matter what. And what she's just in something else. Was a Sacrifice, I think, right? Is her newest movie she just
I
did.
don't know. I know the last thing I saw her in, and I know it's older, was the reboot to Puppet Master, the Full Moon.
Oh
Puppet
yeah,
Master
the Littlest Reich, right? I think.
Yeah. That was.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but Tim and I we both ended up buying. They had a Full Moon had the best deal. If you subscribed 1 year to their service at $60 a year, you got the 12 disc box set of all the Puppet Masters, except for I think Littlest Reich and
There's one other. There was
one
two
other
of them.
one.
Iron Cross.
Iron Cross. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're not missing anything.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm being the completionist that I am. I had to
Oh,
get it.
absolutely.
So I got the
Absolutely.
two, but like, so we're gonna eventually do that. I don't know if it's this summer coming up because we have our summer Slaycation series that we do where we'll take the whole the whole franchise. I don't know if it's this summer, but I think we were talking about this summer. Just
I think we
do it.
need to do it this summer because I'm dying to dive into that.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
I don't-
please have me back. Honestly, when I was growing up, Full Moon Productions, Full Moon Films, when I saw that logo come on the from the VHS, that was the sign of quality to me as a kid. I mean,
You gotta sign up for the service. They have a great streaming service.
I need to
Yeah.
because I mean, like you have a Puppet Master, you have a Subspecies, you had Demonic Toys, you had Doll Man,
Yep.
you had Trancers. Full Moon just.
I think
was
they're all on there too.
They are. Yeah, they are.
They're just such fun schlock. Like my dream job work. If I can make movies, it would just be working for Full Moon in the 90s.
And their customer service people are really good.
Oh
too.
my God,
Didn't it?
they're
Because they
awesome.
really helped Brian out, and they were.
That's
I had a couple of interactions with them, and they were super cool.
Yeah, no, I bought something and then I realized, it's like, I don't think they have free shipping, but they're small in terms of the distribution for direct, to the customer distribution, I guess. And so I forgot what it was. I like maybe like an hour later, but it was like New Year's Eve day, I think, no less, like right on a day where you have a skeleton crew.
Yeah.
I ordered something and I wanted to order something else. And I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be another $4 for shipping. I mean, in the end, it's no big deal, but I messaged him. I said, hey, can I revise the order? He goes, well, I can't revise your order, but what else are you ordering? So I said, well, I put in an order for this. And he goes, okay, don't worry. I got you. I'll find it. I'll put them together. And I'll waive the shipping. So it's just like, I mean, just the out of the box way they did it for me to make sure that I got it, like without a problem. I mean, and it's just they're always so quick to respond too with the questions, because I think it was like in 10 minutes I got an answer. So they're really good with stuff like that.
Yeah, they're awesome.
That makes me happy. Their quality kind of went down with the whole like Ginger Dead Man and Evil Bong stuff, so that kind of broke my heart. I'm happy to know the soul of their company still stands.
Oh,
although I did watch Evil Bong 666.
Oh, that was the one we both watched, right?
This is what we both watched, and as bad as it was, like some part of me like really liked it for some reason.
I'm bashing these movies, but I've watched them all. I'm not above watching them all. I love the Ginger Dead Man series because of it. Something like that, if it was made in the 80s, would have been taken completely seriously, and I think I would have loved it. I know I would have loved it. I'd have owned the special edition director's cut of it with all the behind the scenes and the retrospect. Here's the X-rated version from all the stuff they had to cut because it's so stupid and dumb. Like, what was it? Well, again, not to get off and go back to it. My second show, Theater. Whenever I write a play, it's always based off of. I just really want to write this type of movie. Like. Cool. Wendigo is a creature feature. Let me just write a creature feature. Theater is a slasher. Let me just write a slasher. Insanity is a haunted house piece. Let me just write a haunted house piece. And that's again, staying on the 80s horror. You get so much fun like camp slashers. You get My Bloody Valentine. Happy
that's
birthday
one of my
to
favorites.
me. Oh, dude. My Bloody Valentine is the unpolished gem of the 80s.
Yeah, I say that all the time. I used to watch that every time because I had cable in my room when I was so way too young probably to have cable in my room, and I watched that every time, and that used to be like a yearly I mean it still kind of is a yearly tradition to watch that.
I watch it every Valentine's Day. It's great.
Yeah, and it's like so many people like it, but it's funny, I still see people discovering it like now, and they're like, oh my god, how did I miss this? I'm like, I don't know, because I've been screaming about it forever.
It's sitting there the whole time, man.
Yeah,
it's from the 80s. You've been missing out. And again, one of the special things about it is their characters are adults. They're not teenagers. You're not sitting there watching a whole bunch of high schoolers going, hey, man, I just want to get drunk and get laid. Yeah, these are adults who just want to get drunk and get laid, but they're dealing with adult problems. They're, hey, man, I'm back in town, and my whole plan to get the hell out of this like one-horse town failed. And now I'm back, and I'm depressed, and the girl that I left for bigger things is now with my best friend, and that sucks. And that's very human. Those are all things everyone can relate to, and that's a slasher film.
Yeah, no, it's so underrated. That's one of my by far, I think, one of the top 80 slashers.
It's again, I call it the unpolished gem because it never got a sequel. No one talks about it. It has a very human killer. I don't want to give it away, but it's not one of those. The guy doesn't get shot 80 times, and Michael Myers up.
It's kind of surprising that never went into a franchise and never got sequels. That just seems like one of those movies that would have been ripe for it.
I mean, I'm sure there's a script out there that someone wrote the day it came out in theaters that just sits on a shelf and can't find distribution or producers. It's a sad thing.
And that was when when everything was like a holiday horror movie. It's like after Halloween hit, they're like, all right, let's get every holiday we can think of.
What can we not? What holiday? What hasn't been taken up yet? Okay, so there's April Fool's Day, so that one's off the table.
Yeah.
And all right, so there's Leprechaun. All right, that takes St. Patrick's Day off the table. I have one. I've sat around with it since I was in high school, and I've always considered it my $1 million title because it's an 80s slasher movie called Easter Mass. ... occur.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's just like, it's self-explanatory. It's like, all right, guy dresses up like the Easter Bunny and starts hacking away at people. And go on.
You don't need anything beyond that. It's just perfect as it is. Well, I'm kind of upset that it took me like till I was like now, like basically, what was it, come out last year, I guess, was for my Hanukkah horror movie that I've been waiting for. I mean, I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, there's been not like, is it, growing up Jewish, I never got my like horror films really. I needed the Hanukkah horror film, so I'm glad it finally came out. And it was okay. It's called Hanukkah, actually.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
One of Sid Haig's last films, right?
Yeah.
They missed such a great opportunity. They missed such a great opportunity to call it Hanukkah.
Oh my god. Yeah. They just kind of went, but they did kind of make fun of it within the movie. They were coming up with like funny titles like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that yeah, but I still want like a some kind of bar mitzvah massacre movie. I got to figure how that's going to happen, it's like you finally reached 13 and that's it or something, like and that's where it ends, but
Make it a combination of like the 13 ghosts of Scooby Doo. Like you have to
Oh,
capture
yeah.
13 spirits and you have to light the candles of the menorah, and that means they're captured. And once they
Oh,
go out
yeah.
or something like that, it's like we can do it like an opposite of Hocus Pocus, of when the candles go out.
Well,
We'll talk. We'll write this.
Yeah, we need to. What Tim? Wasn't that the guy you like from Hocus Pocus? The guy you gave like food advice to or something?
Oh, what's his name?
Jason Marsden, I think.
Jason Marsden. Yeah. We were at the. We've told this story before, but we were at New Jersey HorrorCon, and Jason Marsden sat down beside us and was asking how our we had ramen bowls.
Yeah, it was.
He was asking advice on our ramen bowls. So
yeah, we ended up running into like that whole convention. It was like no matter where we went, someone would be there from. Like it was like they were, yeah. It was
it was very bizarre.
Our listeners are probably like, "Oh God, they're telling this story about this con that happened 2 years ago already." And
they're still milking it for all it's worth.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Did we tell you about the time Tim got biff blocked by
I got
Billy Peltzer?
By Billy Peltzer.
Yeah.
All right, so 90s. Now we're getting into some more challenging. It's easy to name.
Yeah, like the 90s is the dry spell.
Yeah, the 90s is tough.
But it's from Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh yeah.
All right.
You can do it pretty quick, man. I love that movie. I'm a 90s kid, man. I'm born in 87, so I'm like the tail end of the 80s, so I really like grew up in the 90s. So I'm Tarantino through and through, and you give me a Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez horror flick, and it's just such cool characters. You get Fred Williams, you get Tom Savini, you get Harvey Keitel, you get Quentin Tarantino, you get George Clooney, Cheech Mariney, all these guys playing badasses, and it's for the first hour of it, nothing gives away that it's going to be a horror story. It's for that solid hour. There's not a music cue. There's not a lighting cue. There's not a character nod. It's a through and through crime movie that somebody in the editing department fucked up. Can I curse?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I just now realized. Oh yeah. Okay. I didn't know if we had to edit or anything like that. But yeah, it's someone
got a disclaimer.
In the editing department messed up and just spliced in a vampire movie into this like crime hostage thriller, and I'm going, okay, something happened around the third reel, but it made the movie better. And so yeah, I can easily just sit there. There's a few more I can list. I think the Blair Witch Project's great. I know everyone throws everything to it, but to list some other ones, Relic is a great creature feature from the 90s that I'm a huge fan of. That's another thing. The 90s creature feature, to go back on the stage, to get almost a little bit to Wendigo, the creature feature came back strong in the 90s, almost like that throwback ode to the 50s sci-fi, because you had Relic, you had Deep Rising, you had Lake Placid, Anaconda, and Mimic, which are all like, big creatures or, science fiction creatures made through nature, like fighting back or mankind messing with nature. And Wendigo is kind of that same vein of being, here's nature fighting back in this creature feature light way. But I think that's a really cool way. It's a dry period for sure with these kind of diamonds in the rough. You have the Blair Witch Project, you have Sixth Sense in '99, you have Scream, and there's others. Horror got. I don't artsy fartsy is not the right terminology. It's the only thing coming to mind right now. But you got it kind of pretentious with. I love the film. Silence of the Lambs, though, is not a horror film. It's a thriller. That's my 2 cents. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but that's just my 2 cents on that.
I know that's like one of those debates,
Yeah, it's one of those.
I've never considered it a horror film either, even when they're talking about, Silence of the Lambs is the only horror film that's won an Oscar. And I'm like, I've never considered it horror. I've always considered it thriller.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, man. I think that's I think that's majority rules. There, it's been settled.
I just like that they brought they actually had a horror movie with that Betty White could be in. And then, with Lake Placid, that alone is pretty cool.
Well, man, Lake Placid's perfect because it's a great cast. It's a really undersung cast because it's Bill Pullman, who's always great. It's
I love Bill Pullman. He's one of my favorite actors.
Crazy environmentalist. Brendan Gleeson's the small town sheriff, and I believe Bridget Fonda's the love interest. I think I'm blanking on that detail, but
Yes. You're right.
yes. All right. Thank you, random brain. I can't do math. I memorized the cast for some random big creature monster movie. Good for you, brain. But no, Oliver Platt and Brendan Gleeson in Lake Placid have some of the best chemistry you'll ever watch. Like I want them in The Odd Couple. I want them to do like a series of movies together and just go on the road in different genres of just their chemistry is just perfect. I want to see them playing like warring father-in-laws now in something because their chemistry in Lake Placid is so good, and no one talks about it, unfortunately.
Although it made tons of sequels.
Yeah, it did. Right?
But you
There was
never
like
really
5 of
yeah,
them or something.
And a Versus movie. It fought the Anaconda.
That's right.
So
that might be one for the one summer slaycation way down the road, Brian.
Lake
the
Placid. I think I put it on,
series.
right? It's
Yeah.
got to be on the list. Anything with like more than 3, I think we count.
Yeah, we usually try to put it on there.
And Tremors is from the 90s. The first Tremors 1 and 2, and that's a series still going on. But that first Tremors movie is a.
I know. That's why we can't ever do that in the Slaycation. Every time we plan it, like they announce another sequel, so we're like,
oh, so the franchises have to be done. Is that the rule?
What? Well,
not
that's
necessarily. It just makes
dormant.
it easier.
Yeah, I think it's if it's dormant. Like Wrong Turn, we just did this summer, and then they announced the other one. So we're like, well,
it seems like every time we do one, they announce the next one in the series is coming like next year, and I'm like, yeah.
Or Carol. But yeah, no, I would say From Dusk Till Dawn is my favorite 90s horror movie. There's a lot of great ones to pick from, but From Dusk Till Dawn is just this perfect. It's my favorite vampire movie, if that says, and it's so untraditional vampire movie. And another fun thing about it, if you listen to the director commentary, which I love to do on any movie, just you can learn a lot about filmmaking and how a writing process is, or you can just see how much fun it was to make a movie. John Carpenter and going back to that, John Carpenter and Kurt Russell have great commentaries on Big Trouble in Little China and Escape from New York and The Thing, because they're really just catching up, and it's just fun to listen to these conversations that goes on for like 40 minutes, and then they'll go, "Oh yeah, this movie's on." Wasn't that crazy 30 years ago? How's your wife? And it's just, sorry for that little tangent away, but those are great commentaries to listen to. But on the From Dusk Till Dawn commentary, there's this great bit because Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez spend the entire time going, "This is our homage to Grindhouse cinema. This is our throwback to Grindhouse cinema." Only for years later from the new movie called Grindhouse. And it's funny, throughout that entire commentary, they're going, this is us getting it out of our system. We'll never go back and do this again. We're never going to do a Grindhouse movie because From Dusk Till Dawn is our Grindhouse movie. And to think about the quality of Grindhouse, it's like, yeah, you guys did do that in your system because you kind of dropped the ball thoroughly with that Grindhouse movie. I may say so myself.
I remember seeing that in the theater. That was.
Oh, you got like the cool treatment of it then.
Yeah, with the full like trailer intermission and everything. Yeah,
I remember watching it, going, "Man, I'd much rather be watching all of these fake trailers as real movies."
Yeah, weren't they better? Yeah.
What they made, right? Was it Machete in there? Didn't that come from that?
Machete got made, but even then, don't Werewolf Women of the SS, Thanksgiving, and Machete was the fourth one, but we were talking about it, a holiday slasher film called Thanksgiving. That would just be brilliant.
Well, they had Thanksgiving. If you ever saw that with the killer turkey.
Yeah, I did. I'm good.
We did a commentary on that.
I'm not an easily offendable or person, and crass is fine. I like trauma and all that jazz, but even I'm sitting here going, okay.
Yeah,
it's one of those weird things that I started thinking about a lot as I got older. Was cool. What was the rest of the day like when you said cut?
Yeah.
Like after this was filmed and you went cut, that's a wrap. How was the rest of your day? Was it just kind of odd silence of this is how I studied it? You can just think of, I studied at Juilliard to play Hamlet. Now I'm chasing this cheerleader up a flight of stairs for God know the 1,800th time. What am I doing with my life? Robert Englund, pretty much,
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's great.
So we should get we should really get into, I think, like the wind. I'm gonna say it wrong. I always say Wendigo, but I know it's Wendigo. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just this thing like I have where I want to say Wendigo, but I know it's Wendigo.
Oh man,
Get in the house, you dumb Wendigo.
You dumb Wendigo. I love it, man. We've been saying like I've made up a lot of just different ways. There's different spellings and a lot of different pronunciations and stuff like that. Like I've been going like the Winnebago.
There you go.
I made the joke going, all right, cool. So there was a play and then there's an audio drama. And at some point there has to be a comic book and then a movie and then someone can do the porno parody called Wanna Bango. Sorry, that's my adult joke for the whole thing. I'm like, there's been so much, because again, I've heard so many people say it differently as we've gone to production. And I've heard the word Wendigo since I was a kid. So it was just kind of like, no, it's pronounced Wendigo. Why doesn't everyone know this already?
See, what you need to do, though, to get money for it, you have a Wendigo.
Oh, yes.
Wendigo.
When I finally make the movie, that's what it'll be. It'll be a Wendigo.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So how
That's
did
the
this?
sequel, Wendigo. It's gonna be a throwback to like Faster Pussycat Kill. Yeah, Russ Meyer movies. It's gonna be great. I'm here for it now. Thank you.
You got it.
That's an exclusive. When there's a sequel, yeah.
So yeah, I want to hear how this idea came about, and you do plays. Was the audio drama was that born out of the pandemic necessity, or was that the plan all along?
Column A, column B. I always thought the play would. I mean, the play's simple. It's one location. It's 4 people. It's even when we staged it, you never saw the monster. We just did it as audio cues and sound cues, and people, techies knocking on the walls to give you this idea of it being of the cast being surrounded. So even before the opportunity to turn it into an audio drama as it is now came, I knew it would work very well. And then, the pandemic hit and theaters shut down and every place is trying to keep its head above water and find a way to keep producing and keep making art as a way to keep the doors open and the home fires are burning, as a way to give hope in what seemed like a hopeless time. And Big Dog Production had started doing audio dramas. To back up, for the past 2 years, I've been a theater critic for Encore magazine. And one of the last gigs I had for them was to do a review for Big Dot's first audio drama, which was a reading of Orson Welles' War of the Worlds.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Yeah, it was really well done. And I had never heard Orson Welles' reading of it, so this was like my introduction to it. And it's the way they broke it down, and it's such the origins of found footage in that first act, because it is just that POV, that first person reporting on the field. It's very Cloverfield. Like the origins of Cloverfield are in this Orson Welles reading. It's so cool because, again, it's hard and it just learns and builds, but that's getting off subject. So they did that. And after Steve Vernon, who's the director for Wendigo and plays the role of Chris in the show, after they had War of the Worlds came out, I kind of just messaged him on Facebook going, look, dude, I know it's a strange time. I know shows have rights to them. I have a bunch of shows that are just kind of garnering dust right now. Would you like one for rights free? Here's Wendigo. It'd be simple. Me and him just started talking back and forth of how it would work, how to do this. And then a few weeks later, he kind of just got out with me going, hey, we're going to do it. And that was it's that weird thing where I love theater and I love Wilmington theater. It's a community within and of itself that I'm a part of and Kevin's a part of, and we've been a part of it for 15 years and Kevin all his life. And it's one of those where, as a member of the Wilmington theater community, you want to take care of it. We're all taking care of our ecosystem here. And this seemed like a really good way for me to kind of symbiotically do that, of like, hey, I get my show produced, which is awesome. And this gets to help out a company that I really love and really don't want to see go under, like Big Dog Productions. They've done so much great work, and I've worked with them a number of times throughout the years. And then we started. I'm gonna get off subject. I'm sorry. I tangent too much thinking about these early days.
Have you heard our podcast? If we don't go off on a tangent, people start questioning.
I won't lie, and Kevin can attest to this. The project is not even 100, not even 1,000. It's a billion times bigger than I ever imagined it would be at this stage. Because I imagined it, because a lot of people have been doing like live Zoom recordings. So I thought we would all Zoom in and do a one-time reading and then just put it out there. And that's not been the process at all. It's been a real show. It's not been it's not been a reading of a script. It's been a honest to God work put into it, audio drama. And the parts I hear blow me away. I mean, I'm the douchebag that wrote it, so I can sit there and pat myself on the back all day long going, I have made art, damn it. I've reshaped horror with what I've done. But I don't ever want to do that. I'd much rather just sit there going, I've done something and it's neat. But when I sit back and I listen to what Scott Davis, who is the engineer on it, and listen to the work that Kevin Wilson and the work that Robin Bell Robinson and the work that Steve Vernon and the work that Steve got out of me as a director and an actor myself, working on this show has been monumental. It's been really, when I sit back and I listen to the portions that I've been able to hear, I kind of forget I wrote it and I forget I'm performing, which is a huge thing. I have my own podcast that I have panic attacks when I listen back and watch because I can't stand the sound of my own voice. Like any creative person, I'm anxiety ridden. So for me to be able to sit there and be able to listen to it like I have and go, this is the legit, and can remove my own ego from it. It's been a great process. I've wanted to work with Kevin Wilson over down there for years and years and years because he's a good buddy. And then here's something I wrote that's about good buddies, and we can play up on that relationship. And it's been it was a lot of fun. I handpicked Kevin, like right when this thing got mentioned. I went, dude, we're doing Wendigo, and I want you to play the Jackie role. You're not telling me no. I know you hate doing theater. I know you hate leaving your house. Yeah. I know you hate this whole process, but you know what? We're friends in the real world, so I'm just gonna call in a friend favor, and now you have to, or else I'll hate you forever, silently. I'll just silently hold this against you if you don't. And yeah, it's such a weird thing, man. Even coming up here and talking about it, because I'm not someone who likes to talk about what I do. I'm kind of like, this is just a hobby, and all I ever wanted to do was tell ghost stories and monster stories, and any capacity, be it sitting on a back porch or around a fire, like my dad did for me growing up. We'll get to it. That's where the Wendigo story came from. It's like, this is a story that my dad told me and my friends when we were like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 around a fire. And now I've kind of just grown up and I told it this way. There's a train. Kevin, look out. There's a Wendigo in the distance. Tie-in.
I was gonna say, look how like they're like sneaking in parts of the play, like while we go. Yeah, no, actually, I kind of like that too. That this is a radio drama, because I feel like, I mean, maybe I'm biased, but I think something like a horror for radio drama is so well, because nothing is worse and scarier than your own imagination when you picture something. So I mean, I to me that's like so cool, and I hope radio dramas come back. Like, I hope people take this opportunity, and I'm glad you kind of seized on that, where you can't do things a traditional way like we always did. And as long as the creativity can find a way, not to sound like life finds a way, that was my terrible Jeff Goldblum. But the creativity finds a way, I think, through this. And I've noticed this in so many ways that that's happened with, like you said, some Zoom plays, but I've seen some Zoom plays that are literally just Zoom screens. Or I saw one that one of our buddies in the coaster world, Nick Hudson, did. He did a coaster play where he did basically the whole it was all audio, but he had like a virtual theater going on, like where they would like cool. Show like the sets would change like on just by computer graphics and stuff. So you got the feeling you're watching a play. So I mean, once Tim told me about this, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to hear this. Cause to me, that's so cool. Just sitting there in a nice darkened room, now everyone's got great technology, like good set of headphones and just.
Oh man. And again, Scott Davis, our engineer on this, has pulled out all the stops. I mean, it's one of those things where it's weird. Like I want to say, like, I wrote this show and I directed it its first go. And so you think I'd be the one who is the most like married to things, not wanting to change dialogue or wanting to stay very anal on things and just focus. And I wasn't. It was Scott, the engineer, going, no, that's not the line. Yeah, but it flows better this way. Yeah, well, it's written this way. Okay, I'm sorry. I did write it, but I'll say it this way. I'm sorry. But no, but you needed that. He was such the leader, man, because he saw something in it, and that meant so much to me. You know, as someone who created it, just to have someone of their immense talents come on board and have the faith in the project just made me have more faith in the project. Which, I mean, it's what you want to do. This, like, it's creativity, man. And in a time where it's that beautiful end of the movie where it's almost like that Terminator idea where like the world's been burned and everything looks bad, but that one flower sprouts up. And I think that's what all the creativity stuff is right now, is just people sprouting up. And you have people who've gone to Zoom, and we have friends who've put on concerts in their band through this. I have friends who've released comics through their different mediums through this. And I don't know if you guys cover the movie Host on Shudder.
Oh, yeah.
We
actually had Jed and Haley come on to talk about it too. They were really
really?
Yeah, they
That's
were
cool.
They are that whole group is amazing.
Super nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm probably rambling off subject when it comes to the Wendigo thing a lot.
No.
It is just this. It's been this like labor of love to something that, you know, I don't ever want to come off sounding arrogant about anything that I do, because it is just this love of wanting to tell stories that are horror based. And I have the opportunity, man. I have the privilege. I have the opportunity. I have people who've backed me for that. And that means the utter world to me. Yeah, I don't need to have an ego about it when other people kind of can come in and support you. And I think that's a magical thing.
Chase, you said earlier, you were talking about how Wendigo is a billion times bigger than you thought it would be, and maybe than we all thought it would be. And part of that, I think, is a testament to, one, the people that are involved in this project don't do anything half-assed in the art world at all.
Absolutely.
Two, I think what we failed to realize when you said, I kind of thought we'd just show up on Zoom and do this read, which is kind of what I thought too. It's almost like we had a little bit of amnesia of what we are when we create something. You don't put half of your heart into anything that you truly care about creating. And so when we got there and we saw that it was more involved than we thought it was going to be, it just kept snowballing into, oh yeah, we forgot that we take acting seriously, that this is a director that takes things seriously. There's 120 years of experience in this room right now. And it was fun for me to watch you, as someone who's my friend and whose career I've watched over many, many years, over a decade, to see you have to find flexibility and new ways to be artistic that you never expected. And I think you'd probably agree that it gives me a huge respect for the radio dramas that used to come out back in the day. When you think of something like The Shadow, which
Absolutely.
millions of people tuned into, this was no fly-by-night production. This was dozens of people devoting many, many long days into something that it really cared about. And you can't tell a story if you don't care about it.
And that's what we were, man. We were like half a dozen guys in the Cape Fear Playhouse, figuring out and adapting the play. We took my script and just had to figure out how to make it more. Okay, so the visual element's gone. So everything that. Hey, so you know that scene where you guys built tension because he slowly creeped to the window and then had that reaction? Yeah, that's not there anymore. We have to like build that of, all right, I'm gonna walk to this window, and you can't do it where it's exposition or sounds clunky. You have to find out smart ways to, all right, we're gonna do this we're gonna record your footsteps. Okay, so we're gonna like get these slow building footsteps, and we're gonna throw music under it to really build this tension so you can hear the distance that the person is traveling. I mean, we spent hours dragging a punching bag across the floor to get the right sound and distance and travel. We spent hours just hanging out with props. One day was just holding mics next to guns and just cocking them and clicking them and pulling the triggers. And we would open beers next to the microphones to get the sound. I know Kevin had to like almost drink an entire seltzer water one day, or like two of them, just to like get this.
We had to chug so that we could get the end of the chug sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say he had to drink a beer. I'm like, what do you mean had to? Kevin?
Yeah, I was about to say that was probably his favorite part of the entire
He probably's like, no, I didn't pull that one off. Hold on. We
We're
gotta
gonna
do that one
I
over.
was trying to make
No,
beer
no,
sound
no.
a little bit more legitimate. No, but
Yeah.
he was drinking a beer between the beers that we drank between the beers that we drank in the show.
That makes
And
That's
you know,
fair.
another layer to this project is we're in times of COVID, and we're trying to record as 4 or 5 people together in the same room. So there were a lot of precautions we had to take. The way that we set up the mics, when we masked, when we didn't, how we were able to get close to each other or not get close to each other in scenes where we were doing Foley work. And that stuff has its own amount of stress with it also. On top of just everyone being in the middle of this pandemic and feeling isolated, and now suddenly you're back working on something. And I think it surprised everyone how much we needed it in our lives, but it also kind of hurt to do it again. It almost felt like riding a bike in the wintertime. Like you're dreaming about the summer. And so you're like, God, I can't wait till it warms up and I can ride my bicycle. And one day it's 32 degrees and you're like, at the hell with it, I'm going. And it's still fun, but there's a certain amount of pain and exhilaration that comes with it because you're operating under certain restrictions.
Can't pedal as fast as I want because the wind's going to burn my face.
The Wendigo is going to burn your face.
Oh.
Wait,
So
you know what?
Kev, did you find it from an acting standpoint? Did you find it easier, harder than act? Obviously, you don't have an audience in front of you. You're not actually doing anything visual. I mean, how does it compare acting for basically just for a microphone? Is it?
I found it to be incredibly difficult. The mic stuff, the tech side of it, I trusted the engineer, but also, you do a podcast. My wife and I have a podcast. Chase has a podcast. Steve does a lot of voiceover work and has in the past. Scott Davis is an acclaimed engineer, has worked on films, has worked in, various mediums. So everyone knew what the hell they were doing. But from an acting perspective, I've never had to act while reading a script. First of all, because we're not off book. We're mostly just reading the script.
We're not off book.
We're not off book.
We're not.
We're reading the script, number one. Number two, we're not facing each other because of how we're recording with COVID restrictions. We're trying to be, we're 12 feet away from each other, facing opposite north, south, east, west, and directions as actors. So we're not getting the eye contact. We're not getting that visual stimulus of how the other actor is reacting. And I really think, and I think the director, if he was honest, would agree, when we first walked in and we first started laying down lines, he was like, I thought you guys were actors. He didn't say this, but it was like, I hope you didn't come here to just read words off of a page, because if we're going to do this, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
I found it to be incredibly challenging, incredibly frustrating. Like every good project I've ever been involved in, there were nights that I went home and was like, what am I doing? I don't deserve to be here. I suck. There were other nights where I got tiny little wins and I was like, I can do this. I do deserve to be here. But the important thing is trusting the people that you're involved in the project with, having respect for them and having respect for the process, and knowing that if you give 110%, something's going to come out in the end project that some people are going to appreciate.
And actually, to tag on that too, what's probably really cool is, so it kind of like a little bit what I said before too, about how, through audio means, everyone's going to visualize it. But just think about how for everyone that listens to it, you could literally have a different interpretation, a different visualization by who listens to it. So Absolutely. It's like, it's some way you're still performing to so many people in such a different way. And that's got to be the coolest thing. Like you guys must be so excited to hear like the responses once it airs and everyone hears it, to see like, how did you take that? Like, how did you visualize that? Like, to me, I'd be like, I want to know everything.
Jumping at the bit, man. I can't wait to hear responses, all that jazz.
What do you think the Wendigo looks like? Was the Wendigo even there? Like,
what's going on? Like it's what is your take on it? Is that's one of my fun things. When we staged this show back in 2015, and even when we did the reading back in 2020, or the recording, one of my favorite things was how the cast would come along and go, "Hey man, so here's what I think's going on. Here's what I really think's happening out there on top of this mountain in this cabin." And it's one of those fun things of where the cast can even read this. The people who have the script and are rehearsing it and working with myself, the writer, and we have a director, and we're all sitting there going, and no one has the same idea of, no, man, I'm telling you, it's not a Wendigo. It's aliens. No, it's a Wendigo, but it's happening this way. There's two of them. And no, I'm telling you, that guy's just crazy. There's nothing there. He's crazy. He's gone all Jack Torrance on top of the mountain. And I think that's really cool. That's pat myself on the back, writer.
I think my favorite part of the acting experience of it was that Chase and I have been involved in theater in the same community for many years. We've been friends for probably 15 years. Mm-hmm. Because we live in the same neighborhood, because of the pandemic, I feel like our friendship has really sort of hit a new level in the past year. We spent a lot more time together. We've had a lot of more deep conversations about theater and life and art.
My wings, Kevin Wilson.
No, wait. He's the Wendigo, but dude,
he's the Wendigo beneath my wings,
Kevin Wilson. There it is.
But we've also never had a chance to be on stage together and work together, and it's something we've always kind of joked about and talked about, and it's just never come to fruition. So we finally got that chance, and then it sort of dawned on us that we have a couple scenes that are pretty intimate scenes between two people who have been friends with each other for a really long time. And to finally get that chance and work through that, now that we have a closer personal relationship, was super rewarding. I hope it was for Chase too, but it was really rewarding, and it was really special, and it was draining a little bit.
It was. Well, I mean, you said we've all been out of the field, man. So we all kind of forgot what it's like to even kind of like work on a character, to kind of try to like memorize a little bit of the lines, to try to like really delve into it. It's been a lot of rust to knock off wheels for a lot of us. I kind of traded in acting for writing and directing with Wendigo. So all the way back so I haven't acted in a show since 2014. This was the first time I've like played a character in anything, and so like quite some time, like 7-8 years. And to play one of my own characters was just odd. I never even someone who does the acting side of things, I've never written a role, I've never written a show that's went, cool, this is mine. This is the one. I've certainly had roles of going, all right, cool. If I was going to do this is the role I'd want to play. But I've never been arrogant enough to sit back and go, I'm going to write, I'm going to direct, and I'm going to star in this. I'm not Clint Eastwood, you know. I'm not going to write Revenge of the Creature of the Black Lagoon, any of this, you know. But it was great, man. It was one of those two, because I did this to step away. This was like an experiment for myself because every show I've done, I've been very hands-on in every department. And this was that one time I went, cool, I'm going to give the show to Steve and I'm just going to step away. And when they premiere it, I'll come back and go, neat, that's who you cast for it. That's the audio cues you went for. Cool, man. This is the first time I've been completely removed from one of my shows. But as Kevin said, that we're in pandemic time, you know, access to actors isn't as brutal as it would normally be. People don't want to come out of the houses. People don't want to interact. We were doing one where we met in person. It wasn't over Zoom. We were meeting every night at the Cafer Playhouse, and we were wearing masks, and we had a designated area where you could take it off, and no one was facing one another, and we disinfected everything. But people don't want to come out, and that's understandable. So through all that, I ended up playing not only a role, I ended up playing the lead that I wrote.
You know, one thing that I don't think I've ever even brought up to Chase before, and I don't know how much he thinks about it, but when I get into a project, I like to think of like I like to step back and look at the overall, like, do I want to be a part of this and why? So in Wilmington, in the Wilmington theater community, there is a history of horror plays being done by small indie directors. So we had 2 writer-directors named Chris Bowen and Justin Ciappa. And Tim, you remember this because you've seen all the plays I've been in. Back in the day, there was Frankenstein is Dead. Frankenstein is Dead was live horror. There was gore. There was blood. There's a little bit of audience interaction. Then there was Welcome to the Slaughterhouse, which was like a 2-play feature sort of going on at the same time. There were companies that were doing stuff like Titus Andronicus, which is really bloody.
Well, take account that Wendigo first premiered back in 2015 has a history. You know, they staged. I produced a staging of Night of the Living Dead there. We did Dracula, Frankenstein is Dead for a second time there. I played Frankenstein in that version.
Yeah, the reboot of Frankenstein is Dead, and that's guerrilla theater. Had a really big part in all of that. Chris Bowen also did. I was in the play behind the scenes of Thanksgiving 4, which was a romantic comedy that took place behind the scenes of the making of the 4th movie in the Thanksgiving trilogy. Speaking of Thanksgiving horror movies, and some of the characters from that spun off into a live sitcom that was in Wilmington. So there has always been a small tradition of Evil Dead the musical, things like that in Wilmington, that horror has found a life on the stage. I think when Chase started doing it, sort of the next generation of guys that were doing it, he's doing a bigger house. First of all, he's selling a bigger house. He's starting to get some awards and some notice for it. And, you know, not to blow smoke up Chase's pipe, but he really did sort of solidify, I think, a tradition that was at least 10 years old. When he came through, he solidified that this is a thing that is a part of Wilmington theater. It has a right to exist. There's an audience for it. There's a fan base for it. And so to me, when I did Wendigo, it was not only am I building on the tradition of Frankenstein is Dead, Welcome to the Slaughterhouse. When I look at my own acting career, these other plays that I've been in that were important to me, also my buddy Chase continuing this legacy, and then Big Dog being the theater company that has given me more opportunities than anyone in the past 15 years. So when you can work with 4 of the most talented people you've ever met for the best company you've ever worked for, and you get to continue a tradition that you've been a part of for 15 years, to me, it just seemed like Chase said, how could I say no?
Yeah. Oh no, that's one thing you mentioned of how it's interesting to see the audio drama aspect of it. And that's what got me into wanting to do horror on stage in the first place, was how can you translate something that's so almost made in the pre and post-production of it on stage live in front of an audience where there's no editing. I don't have live music. Effects are going to be harder to pull off on stage. How do you hide things to be able to pull off gags? And so that was like a lot of the funness of how do you translate this genre that is so film oriented into a live area? Because I've seen horror shows throughout the years, like Kevin says, there's a vast history of it, and I don't think it's ever gotten paid the respect it needed. I don't want to throw an insult, but I think almost every horror show I had seen leading up to mine had just kind of played it of going either A, we're doing something spooky, it's going to be fun. So there was no real respect to the genre paid in that. Or it's, you know what, I'm going to scare you. This is going to be so scary. And you're going to have nightmares and you're not going to be able to sleep. And then it fails because scary is subjective. Horror is a genre. And if you follow the rules of a genre, you will make something that is quality. If you just think you're trying to scare people, well, what scares it? There's 4 people in this Zoom conversation right now. I bet none of us are scared of the same thing. So me sitting here going, hey, I'm going to terrify you is such an arrogant thing to say in an approach to horror. Tell a good story within the genre and the genre will protect it. Going back to it, Theater, or any of my shows, Theater has the most amount of like jokes in it because it's set in a theater world. Like Theater that's my 80s slasher ode. and where they all have their own like niches. This one's set in the theater world. The killer wears the comedy mask that's crying blood. The killer only speaks in Shakespearean quotes. All the cast and crew were actors and directors. It was done at a dinner theater, and the dinner theater was actually the set. I used the blank stage. We pulled the curtain back. Like the entrance and exit of the theater itself to go up into the building was the entrance and exit. Like the world of the theater that the audience was in was the world of the show. And one of the things that I was allotted to do, because I've been doing theater for like 20 years of my life, was I know a lot of dumb jokes and a lot of dumb stories about theater. So I was able to work on these really funny stories that audience members can laugh at. But by doing that, they're not laughing at horror. They're not laughing at what's meant to be scary. And it's one of those fine lines that a lot of people forget about in horror, of going, you have to give the audience something to break the tension. If you don't give them something to break the tension, they'll start looking for things to break the tension. Look how bad that performance is. Oh, look, there's the strain on the effect. Hey, man, there's a plot hole right there. What's this? But if you allot them something to, I'm no longer being chased by the killer because that was funny. And then you can like break that tension and rebuild them back up, and you can hold them by attacking them two fronts. You can attack their joy center of the brain with humor, and then you can attack the horror part, and they'll take that seriously. But I feel a lot of past shows forgot that. It was all a gimmick. And I think if you treat horror more like a gimmick than a genre, you're not respecting it. It's expecting it to sell itself. I'll say this: it was one thing that pissed me off often when I did the theater reviewing gig for Encore, was if someone did produce a horror show and I got assigned to it, there was just the automatic assumption that I would love it. And that just really bummed me out, of going, oh, you just think because I'm a horror guy, I'll like anything you throw my way. No, unfortunately, I'm the horror guy. It better be good, or else I'll know it's not. And that's just the arrogant thing. I'll go that way with it.
The thing I love about Wendigo is that it almost seems like in horror, the monster has the easiest job, right? All they have to do is exist, and then you build the story around them. What makes, in my opinion, and I've grown up with a horror obsessed brother, and I have a lot of horror movie fans, and I've been to horror conventions, and I've seen a ton of horror movies. It's like I was raised Amish, but never quite was Amish. But from just the films that I appreciate and that I enjoy, when they land with someone who loves horror, like you three guys, and when they don't, it always seems to come down to, it's not the actions of the monster, it's the reactions of the characters. Do you care about the characters? Is there something at stake for the characters? And what does the monster represent to the characters in a larger metaphorical sense? To me, that's what I enjoy about horror. Absolutely. It's not only just, is Jason going to pitchfork Kevin Bacon next? It's, is there something about Kevin Bacon's life? Is there something about that character? Do you feel bad when he dies? Do you not feel bad? Is there a part of you that feels like he deserves it? He doesn't deserve it. And so Wendigo really plays on friendship, isolation, reunion, getting back together with someone you haven't seen for a while. It has to do with trauma. It has to do with fathers. There's a lot of elements in it that don't have a damn thing to do with the monster outside of that cabin. But that's what makes the monster have weight and have meaning, is the weight of the relationships of the people that are the protagonist.
Absolutely, man. I think that's something that's easily forgotten in horror, in anything, is if you don't care about what the characters you're watching, you don't care what happens to them. For example, I hate Eli Roth movies. I hate Cabin Fever. I hate Hostel. I hate Green Inferno. I hate Eli Roth as a writer and director. I don't think.
Well, there goes the chance of getting him on the show. No.
Or at least me working with him.
No,
we'll have a feud off. We'll meet him. We'll do trivia, and it'll be like, who has more knowledge of horror? He'll kick my ass probably, but
the lawyer's online too.
That's fine. You know what? He can kick my ass in horror trivia and has a couple $1 million. He still hasn't made a good movie, in my opinion. But Eli Roth doesn't give it. He doesn't care about characters.
Wait, let's not get hostile here.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been dealing with all this cabin fever from not leaving. So just no, he just doesn't care about characters. It's about what happens to people, and it's about the effect to them. So he's just building, he's just throwing meat into the grinder, really. And that's kind of what all the forgettable slasher films that just kind of went to VHS did. Going back to it, it's what made My Bloody Valentine so great, is they're adults that you care about their relationships and who these people are. So when one of them gets picked off, it hurts. And going back to what Kevin said, I feel like that's one of the keys with Wendigo is it's a story about 4 best friends who are all dealing with their own problems. And it's that idea of when you're around your best friends, you feel like you can honestly, we can say anything, man. These are my best friends, but you don't, because you don't want to kill the vibe. You know, it's like, I got a lot of problems right now, but right now I'm with my friends, and now's not the time to have problems. But why am I depressed? I'm around my best friends. It's when you're able, you should be at your most comfortable. And for some reason you find yourself at your most uncomfortable. And I find that's the emotional strife of Wendigo is these 4 very stunted men who we're at this great place. They even call it in the script, like, this is my happy place. None of them are happy in their lives. And even like getting back to this idea of like, this is where we're happiest. And they're all seeing of, no, I'm not happy here. What's wrong with that? Is it something in me? Is it something in my life? Is it something, these friendships that I haven't quite found? And then they're confronted with this beast. And, John Carpenter has this great quote about horror of there's only 2 types. There's the horror that is, where the fire ends and what could come from where the light stops. And then there's the horror that's the internal, and the horror of man, and the horror that we all create into the world. And I feel like Wendigo is a nice blend of both of that. It's this exterior assault on this cabin and these men and the threat of the Wendigo, but they're also 4 men who are just emotionally stunted in their own lives and trying to work out and work through it in a lot of ways.
So Chase, I want to definitely give you a chance. I want to make sure we hammer home where people can rent this and and see.
I'm more excited than ever now to
I want all the details, and I really want to push this on the show because like you guys have said, Wilmington local theater is just such a big part of this town, and it's something that I've supported. Kevin's been in it all his life. I definitely want to support it in any way possible, and if promoting this show on our little show
very much
gets you guys more tickets, I'm totally down for that. So give us all the details, and we'll of course share all this information on our webpage and Twitter and stuff as we get closer to the release.
Yeah. Well, the website you need to go to order it. The show's available to order now, but it doesn't become available to listen to until March 11th. And so it's on sale from March 11th to March 21st. And to order it, you can go to the website www.showtix4u, and that's for the letter, not 4 spelled out, and you, just the letter u.com/event details/47432.
All right. Well, like I said, guys, we'll have it on our Facebook page. We've actually already shared it to our Facebook page. We'll share it again as we get closer, and we'll mention it on the show and everything as well.
I won't lie. I jotted that down 15 minutes before we started this whole thing. I was like, oh, they're probably going to ask me this stuff. To know instead of just like looking all like, first victim in a horror movie of what's that strange noise?
So just in case anyone do they need any kind of special program or anything to listen to it, or just regular?
I don't believe so. No, I just think you do the purchase, you download it. I know our engineer Scott Davis would recommend listening to it with headphones on.
Oh yeah. That's my plan.
Effect for it. And I'm super excited. I'm so jazzed for this. This is such a dream come true. I'm someone who just tries to keep himself kind of even killed when it comes to things like this, but I'm chomping at the bit. I'm nothing but excited for the finished product. I haven't even heard the whole thing yet. I've just heard snippets from the first act. And again, I forget I wrote it. I forget that that's my voice and that's my buddy's voice and people I've known for 15 years voices, and just go, man, this is good. This is a lot of fun. And it's quick banner. And again, it's characters I'll pat myself on the back, man. I enjoy writing friends. That's the most important thing. One of my favorite movies that's not horror is The Man Who Would Be King. with Sean Connery and Michael Caine. It's
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
We just had Michael Caine. We did Dress to Kill last week, so we've been doing
It
bad
was
Michael
almost
Caine
it was an hour and a half of bad Michael Caine impressions.
It was an hour and a half of just saying my cocaine.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah,
pretty much.
That's what I said, and I said he's one of those impersonations that people do that like. Most people do that is just saying, "Hi, I'm Michael Caine," and that's it. That's their impersonation. They can't go beyond that. But we tried, but we failed.
That was like the best thing. Is like I think it was like Steve Coolidge pointed out, going, if you want to say Michael Caine and the perfect Michael Caine impression, just say my cocaine.
Yeah.
And it
Great. It works.
Yeah.
It does.
Speaking of Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
Full circle, man.
Yeah.
Circle.
There you go.
Wide circle. It'll always look around.
Kevin brings it back.
Now, see, I wish I'd known that trick for last episode, Brian. I would have done a much better Michael Caine impression.
I think I said it, didn't I? Did
You
I say
did
it before? I thought I said that trick. I said, but maybe it was before. Might have been before we started or something. Yeah.
It just hit me, man. For a fun story, before the Global Bastard shut everything down, I was doing talks to direct my first horror show that I did not write, and I won't give the production company away just in case they get back up with me in case things are going. But Kevin mentioned Evil Dead the musical.
And I saw that. That's a fun show.
I was on direct it.
Oh, really?
Oh man.
The company was going to stage it in 2021. We were going to do it this year. That was my 2021 plan, was to get off the ground a restaging of Evil Dead the musical in Wilmington. I saw it all those years ago, and I won't lie, I hated it. And I went, I can do this better. And so I've used all of 2020 in the lockdown to go, cool, here's my choreography, here's my set design, makeup effects. I have a makeup effects one. I'm gonna give a shout out. My shows on stage are nothing without Nicole Horton. Like, Nicole Horton is my MVP. She is like 30 years of professional makeup effects art. She's den mother to every set I've been on. She auditioned for Terror and played one of the roles, and she did makeup effects, and then she came on for Insanity and she did the makeup effects. And I wanted to bring her in on this one just to sit in the aisle, just to sit in the section going, hey, just be there. You're my rabbit's foot. I kind of just need you. And she's like such an MVP to everything I do. She does all my effects. In Insanity, we tore out someone's guts on stage, and she made this gut bag for them to reach into their costume that was full of fake blood and this kind of gross sausage rope that had been just drenched, that he could just yank out guts alive. And we always got that great, that's so gross. How are they doing that? So, I mean, I just gotta give a shout out to her real quick there.
Awesome.
Nice. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this now. I can't wait. And of course, Kevin, you know you were always coming up, but Chase, now that we got to meet you, you welcome on anytime.
Oh, please, I'd love to come back. I'll talk about horror, man, all the time. Again, I'm probably a bad interview because I got off subject so many times, because I can just talk about it in so many different directions about the levels and what it means. And
that's awesome. That's awesome. We love just talk. I mean, that's the thing about the horror genre, I think, is you can find a fellow horror fan, and once you start talking with that person, you feel like you've known them forever, because you have all these shared memories of the same type of thing. And so I think that's why the horror community, I think, is so tight knit, because it can get close so fast.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about it. And again, it's something that's not for everybody. Like, and like you said, we have all these facts, and we can name drop things, and someone will pick it up that oh yeah, Klaatu Verada and Nictu. Ash Williams, Evil Dead. I know that one. Nice.
I know my experience of being against my will surrounded by horror fans my entire life and going to horror cons with Tim and stuff, is that the horror community, they really are some of the best people in the world. And it's one of the most welcoming fandoms. There's a guy at my work that I've become closer friends with over the past year. And the reason is because he's a horror fan, and he knows that I'm not a hardcore horror fan, but he knows that I'm horror adjacent and that I'm willing to talk about it with him. And I was instantly just attracted to this guy as a friend because I know as a horror fan, there's a certain amount of insight and empathy and artistic appreciation and a cinephile sense to them. I just get along with horror fans. I don't know what it is.
I think it's you, Kev. You're just a cool guy. That's what it is. I
That's
think you
probably
know,
it.
you know.
We're the moths. You're the flame, man.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think it's because I had an older brother. When mom would go out of town, we'd watch Faces of Death.
Yeah.
And our mom would also let us rent Friday the 13th and Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street. And
You see, I think that's a big thing where my mom doesn't really like horror movies too much, but my dad loves them. So I think the moment I was born, mom just went, cool, here, you take them and go watch that movie. I don't want to. I'm out. So there was just so many times I went, all right, buddy, this is the Clockwork Orange. All right, champ, this is Alien. All right, champ, this is called Evil Dead. And this is how you end up like me.
That's amazing.
or growing up with an older brother who sits in the pitch black dark watching some of the craziest stuff you've ever heard of in your life. I used to tap on Tim's door to go into his room and be like, yeah, I don't want any part of this. I do not want to sit in the dark at 1 o'clock in the morning and watch something that's going to give me nightmares. Like, I just can't do it. But I appreciate the love that he has for it.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
Across the board. I mean, again, 80s is my favorite time period because all the practical effects, it's there, it's in the camera. And that art of practical effects is amazing. I love watching things on it, on just the making of how they did this. Tom Savini is a personal hero of mine for all the gore effects he did and how well they looked and how well they hold up.
And
Yeah.
I like that a lot of people are going back to that though too. You know, like
Absolutely.
a lot of like hard, especially hard to like Damien Leone, of course, from did Terrifier. You know, he's big on that.
Love Terrifier.
Yeah, and he's huge on practical effects, and you could see that in Terrifier. That's such a it's like a movie that could have been easily made in the 80s because it just had that raw feeling like that. And I just love that movie.
On every, they're doing a sequel, right? I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah,
It's
it's
close
done
to coming out,
essentially.
yeah.
I think they said I saw David Howard Thornton. He posted that he thinks their goal is by October, by Halloween.
That's
Because
awesome.
it's been all shot and everything. It's just, with the pandemic, everything got
Absolutely. I know
pushed back. But
Antlers, another Wendigo based movie, is really was high on my list before the pandemic pushed everything back just because that looks really cool. Another one, The Collector 3, I think is coming out this year. And I love the Collector series. I like the first one. I was a big fan. I thought the second one was
I have yet to see those.
I know, same
I mean, I
here.
know of them, but I've just, for some reason.
I thought it was a documentary on my Blu-ray collection, in all honesty, is what
the first one's really good. I'll give a lot of, because it's written by the guys who took over the Saw franchise after, I think after 6 and 7 and 8 for Saw, they wrote these, and the first one was meant to be a prequel to the first Saw movie, and then they just changed it around. But it's really neat because it falls into that torture porn idea of, here's the collector, he breaks into houses, he sets up a whole bunch of traps, but he's versus a cat burglar. And so there's this morality play of, all right, man, I'm a bad guy, but I'm not that fucking bad. And so I need to help these people. And that's the type of moral dilemma where I think sometimes horror you don't need a lot of character development to actually make someone be worthy of following. This guy just going, I'm a cat burglar. I'm going to steal from this family. I'm here to rip them off of these jewels that I've been casing this joint for. Cool. I got what I wanted. Oh God, I've escaped. Am I going to leave this family to be tortured and killed by this guy? I'm a thief, but what type of person am I? And that's a moral question that you wouldn't really see in a lot of films. You would see in a drama. You might see that in that's an argument. You could honestly argue that down to Schindler's List. What type of morality do I have in this world? And that's the same thing with something like, I'm not trying to compare The Collector to Schindler's List. I'm just saying it's a movie that no one would ever go look at. It's a dumb torture porn, but it gives you an honest character who's doing a moral grief, and he does the best thing. And Josh Stewart's a character actor who I've liked him in years. He's in Dark Knight Rises. He was in The Punisher for season 2. And The Collector's his franchise, and it's cool to see. And Tom Atkins is in part 3.
Oh my God! With
nice.
anything, you watch anything with Tom Atkins in it.
Tom Thrill Me Atkins.
Yep.
I mean, come on.
He's
Well,
the
Chase,
best.
man, it was awesome. Getting to talk to you for a little while.
Yeah,
around.
dude,
Yes,
thanks for
yes.
come up and just ramble with you guys. It's always
Yeah, it's always fun.
before we're done, just to wrap it up. In 2000s, I'd say my favorite horror movie is
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we got to go through this real quick. We got to circle back around.
Circle all the way back around and
Mhm.
keep the thing going a little bit longer. So for 2000s, it's The Descent. For the
Choice.
2010s, it follows,
Oh,
and
yes.
I'd say
it
as of
follows.
late, The Lighthouse is my favorite.
Oh, I love that.
I think
Yeah.
Robert Eggers, The Witch reminded me that horror is still a perfect genre. I would love to come on because there's an entire conversation I wanted to have on the Academy Awards snub of great Oscars and of Oscar performances in horror, because The Fly deserves it. I felt The Witch was utterly robbed for anything for Academy Award preference. And if Get Out can reach it, I feel like other movies in the genre, like The Exorcist was nominated, Silence of the Lambs was nominated, Get Out was nominated. And I feel like movies like Hereditary, which I didn't really care for, but I thought Toni Collette gave amazing performance.
Mm-hmm.
What about Florence Pugh in Midsummer? It's like
It's amazing.
she, like, I know Kevin,
Yeah.
Tim said you said like she made. I said the same thing. It's like because I had a little disappointment when I saw Midsummer because I thought it was, I think I had such high expectations,
Yeah.
and then it just fell a little short. But I have to say that Florence Pugh was so amazing in it that she just elevated the movie. So no matter what you thought of
Yeah.
it, you were enamored by her performance in it. And like,
I
why was
agree.
that not even considered for an Oscar?
I sit back.
That
and go,
was
"Oh,
Midsummer was the first movie in a long time that I have stopped in the middle, rewound a 3-minute scene and watched it, and then rewound it and watched that 3-minute scene just because of her acting technique. She's so natural. She's so in the scene and so in the moment that, to me, I thought Midsummer was cool. It was freaky. It was creepy. I didn't really know what to expect. So I kind of didn't really have disappointment or anything. I just kind of walked into it a little bit cold. But to me, she's the most mesmerizing part of the entire movie. And I'm not sure that without Florence Pugh, that movie would have had a lot of legs to really stand on.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, look at The Lighthouse. I've told Kevin this. I feel like there was a conspiracy. I'm not a big I like reading about conspiracy theories, but I'm not a big conspiracy theory person myself. But I will say it. There was a conspiracy theory to not nominate Willem Dafoe for The Lighthouse just to give Brad Pitt his Oscar. Because if Willem Dafoe was nominated for The Lighthouse, there's no way anyone could beat him.
He was
monologues,
incredible.
when he curses Thomas, just like Hawk, when he just calls Poseidon down, that is just pinnacle performance in filmmaking. The way they light him and set the scene is the cinematography. It's a culmination of what film is all about. And then when he's getting buried at the end, it's just one of those, he's having dirt thrown on his face while he's delivering this painful monologue. Willem Dafoe, who is a career-defining actor all the way through, hits one of the best notes of his entire career in The Lighthouse.
Absolutely.
And no one talks about it. Same thing with Robert Pattinson. The Lighthouse sold me on him as Batman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, me too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tim and I, we when we reviewed The Lighthouse, we just instantly were like, we love this movie. That's how I called him Timslow a lot.
Timslow.
Dance, Timslow, dance.
That's my favorite thing, man. Horror's in such a really good place right now because we have 3 guys who are just really taking it for. A lot of people are taking it for it. I said 3 guys. There's a lot of women too. I forget the writer and director's name, but I Want to See Promising Young Woman. That's really high on my list.
Yeah, I need to.
But right now you have Jordan Peele, you have Robert Eggers, and you have Ari Aster, who are 2 films deep in. Like their next film is they've already had their first films that knocked it out of the park. They already had their sophomore films, and now they've all talked about their 3rd film that's going to be horror based. I'm really excited to see what these 3 guys do within the genre coming forward. I'm not a big Ari Aster fan. I had issues with Hereditary and Midsummer. I think he can set up beautiful shots. I think he knows how to play music well in his movies. He can cast really great. there's something that's always missing. I don't
That's
know
what I said. Didn't Tim? Was that what I was saying? I was like, to
pretty
me,
much,
I'm
yeah.
definitely more if I had not that you want to compare everybody in there, but like definitely between Eggers and Astor, I'm more of an Eggers guy.
Dude, absolutely. Like The Witch, I saw The Witch twice in theaters. I've seen it 7 times. I just show it to people going, hey, look, even if you don't like horror movies, this is the best modern horror film. Like, I would give that credit to It Follows, and then The Witch came out, and The Witch is the greatest modern horror film of the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, and there's
I
so
would
many
debate
people that just don't have an issue with it, and I'm like, I don't understand what you watched that I watched.
I need to tell Chase what happened when I went and saw it.
Yeah.
So I went and saw it in the theater, and I'm sitting here just like mesmerized, spellbound by this movie from start to finish.
What it does,
Completely blown away.
it hypnotizes you.
Yeah, and there was this girl in front of us, and as soon as the credits roll, she stands up and she goes, well, that was the worst fucking movie I've ever seen in my life. And I'm sitting there going, you got to be kidding me. Like, that was amazing.
Get the hell out of my theater.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that.
Wrong.
Yeah, because you
the
know
witch.
that. Yeah, exactly. You knew. Yeah, she floated up above the.
This is not how they said I would be depicted at all in this movie.
Because you know that people went in there thinking it was going to literally be like this witch standing on top, like shooting. Like
I mean, I can understand
Yeah.
if you're a mainstream horror person. I can see where that movie you'd think it was slow, you'd think it was boring. But I mean, for me, I just thought it was.
I got what was the last thing? A24, who only releases great movies. If they release it, I watch it. But It Comes at Night was one of those where the trailer spins it to be like, here's like a more dramatic zombie apocalypse movie, and it's not. It's a small drama about living rurally and having to deal with outsiders. And there's just happened to be a virus. And I know a lot of people like rage against that movie because that trailer is edited to make you think there is a force that is coming at the family and they'll have to defend it, and there's not. It's just sorry. What comes at night? Depression and fear.
Yeah, that was like the one. What was the? Sorry, I knocked everything off my desk here. The Lodge was, I think, more marketed so different than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I ended up like it's like I'm like that one makes me almost so. It's still I'm like struggling with. I mean, I liked it, but like I'm still struggling with like things about it, and which is a sign of a good movie if like I've seen it like months and months ago, and I still think about it from time to time. So
those things just sit with you and make you go, wait, I gotta go back and think about that. I don't like. Again, I'm that way with Ari Aster movies. If I watch it, I saw Hereditary in theaters and didn't care for it, and then I watched it a few months later on DVD and went, oh wait, no, that's what everyone was talking about. I see it and I really liked it. And then I showed it to someone else and went, oh, never mind. Everything I saw was wrong. This movie sucks. And then I ended up watching it. I don't know why I watched this movie so many times. I think I'm just trying to crack the code of what is in this film that makes me hate it one time and then like it the next. What is this movie? And it's all Ari Aster films, and I'll keep seeing them because I'm trying to crack this code.
Well, if you haven't seen them yet, the two you have to see, I think, is After Midnight and The Dark and the Wicked. Both
those I added to
phenomenal.
My dad just watched The Dark and the Wicked and told me about it. So that's high on my list. I'm probably gonna watch that either tonight or tomorrow, honestly.
Oh, and that will blow you away, I think. That one is
I've heard nothing but
amazing.
amazing things. I'm very excited for it. It's funny, I don't know if you guys maybe covered on the show, but the last movie I saw in theaters before the lockdown happened was Underwater. And
we actually saw that one recently. We didn't cover it fully on the show, but we both watched it.
Yeah. I thoroughly loved that movie. I thought that was a fun throwback to. Everyone kind of called it like an Aliens knockoff, and went, no, it's a Deep Stars 5 knockoff. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
but who cares? It's fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot, actually. And that one starts right away. You get hardly any exposition.
That one's
You're
so
like in
fast-paced,
there.
yeah.
And I think that's something that missed if you're not going, because it doesn't give you a lot of depth of characters. It makes you find out who your characters are by them dealing with how they deal with catastrophe and stress. Like you have the TJ Miller character who just jokes at everything. Everyone, I upset everybody when we're in a stressful situation because I cannot take a smile off my face when I'm like panicking. I'm just like constantly just sitting there smiling, laughing. Going, no, I'm right there with you. And I'm just as worried. I just kind of have to laugh it out right now. And I went, cool. That's how that character faces situations like this. So when you don't have a lot of time to give to who the characters are, I felt they did a good job of throwing everyone in the deep end to see how they deal and getting to know them in a different style.
Yeah, no, that was a I didn't, I never had for some reason I just didn't have the urge to see it right away when it came out, but then I was trying to watch it to see a bunch of stuff for the Fangoria Chainsaws Awards. I'm like, all right, this is on there, let me see it, and I absolutely loved it. So
It got a January release date, which everyone usually says is like, here's the graveyard month. If you have a bad movie, dump it in January. And so it's easy to sleep on something that gets like that release. And then it's Kristen Stewart, who I don't know why people don't like her. She's a very talented.
I don't understand.
That's what I was telling Brian when we were talking about it. I said I've never been like a Kristen Stewart hater. I mean, I'm not like a Twilight movie fan, but I've never hated her like some people do.
Yeah, I think it's dumb just to hate on an actor because they made a movie 15 years ago. I don't get it.
I think it's the Ani DeFranco line. Everyone harbors a secret hatred for the prettiest girl in the room.
That's a throwback, Kev. I haven't heard that song in a long time. Yeah, that's a great song.
Kevin.
But yeah, guys, those are my favorite horror movies throughout the decades. It took us, I think, 2 hours to get through the 70s all the way to the 2020s.
That's all good. It was good talk.
Yeah, no, it's fun, and we are so excited for the. I can't wait. I actually have to, or I'm going to order it tonight. Order my ticket. Well, I guess it's a virtual ticket, right? So to speak. But I'm still going to call it a ticket because
Yeah, it's a ticket. Brian, I'm going to give you the same advice that I would give to anyone who buys a ticket to it, is to, the way that you listen to podcasts while you're washing dishes and clean the house and stuff, don't do that.
No. I'm setting down.
Sit in a room, make yourself a drink. No, I've got, an hour to kill and really take it in, because I think people are really going to get a nostalgic feeling for the old radio drama days.
Oh yeah, no, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Well, it's funny, like going back all the way to having watched The Thing so many times, one of my favorite things to do is to turn the AC all the way down if it's the summer, or turn the heat off in the cold weather like this and let the house drop down to like, all right, it's 40. I need my coat, and then turn all the lights off, and then we'll watch The Thing, and I'm going to feel the environment that these characters are feeling. And the play is set on top of this mountain in the coldest winter this area has seen in 200 years. So I'd almost recommend that be the best way to do it. Take your headphones, turn off all the lights, drop the temperature, and just go, oh, I'm just as cold as they are. I hope Wendigo doesn't come and find me.
Well, I live in New York, so it's pretty much right now anyway. So.
Yeah, I won't go out on the back porch.
I just got to open the window slightly. Yeah.
Nice.
Guys, thank you so much for letting me come up here and just talk horror with you and promote the show. And I would honestly, if you guys want to come back up once the show's out and do a review,
of course.
We'll definitely
talk about
I'd love to just hear your guys' opinions on it. I mean, I'm not someone who gets defensive when it comes to, hey man, that sucked. Okay.
Don't worry, we'll give it the Hereditary treatment. Even if we don't like it the first time, I'll keep listening to it until I like it.
Thank you. I'll never come back on this podcast again. Me and Eli Roth will never appear on this again.
Two down. There we go.
We've lost Eli Roth and Michael Caine in 1 week. I mean,
I mean, we lost Richard Dreyfuss like in season 1. So yeah.
Everyone's lost Richard Dreyfuss. Don't worry about that.
That's true.
Thank you guys. This is really cool, and thanks for the opportunity.
This is a lot of fun. So Wendigo's available now. You can order it at showtix4.com. All the information is on the Civil War website. All the information is on the Big Dog Facebook page and the Big Dog website. So check that out. It's a great way to help a beautiful art in a time that it's needed. It's a great time if you like horror, if you like creature features, if you like campfire tales. That's what this whole thing started as, is a wonderful campfire story on stage. Check it out.
I can't wait.
And you're supporting a theater company who has played a really, really active role in bringing new and edgy and entertaining stories to people. And sometimes they've done it on a shoestring. Sometimes they've done it with a fatter wallet. but it doesn't matter. The spirit and the essence of that company is as pure as it gets when it comes to theater and acting. And so any way we can support those guys and pay them back for all they've given to our town and to the art world, let's do whatever we can.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right, guys, we'll sign off here. And again, thank you for coming on. And we'll definitely be back in touch, Chase. We got to have you back on for some great more horror talk.
Anytime you need a spot filler, I'd happily do it.
All right.
Awesome.
Count on it.
Later.